Better Man. That's right, folks. We're talking a music biopic today. I tend to keep these ones out of the conversation because they're so formulaic and they could get so just bogged down in stuff. You get a good actor, they're just like, I'm going to embody this role, I'm going to win an Oscar for it. It happens all the time. So it's kind of hard to get like really excited to want to talk about them on this channel or in any capacity. Like, I think there are some big ones that we could have talked about, but we're talking about this one for a couple of reasons. There's been some really interesting discourse around it, and there's a gimmick, so there's something more exciting to talk about with Better Man than other ones. Like, Timothée Chalamet's good in the Bob Dylan movie. Do you need me to say more? Like, he's good in there. But Better Man is the story of Robbie Williams. You might not be familiar with him. Apparently that's a big point of contention with this film, is people don't know who he is, so they don't want to see it. Which, I don't understand that saying. The director of this movie also made The Greatest Showman. How many people were aware of P.T. Barnum before seeing that? That movie made $400 million. Just last year, Robert Oppenheimer had a movie about him, made $900 million. Who knew about him? That's not a reason not to see a movie. But he is famous internationally. You know, I'm from North America. He didn't hit big over here, but he's famous over there in the UK and all that stuff, making his big money. And he had a movie made about him. And because he's so aware of himself, he has a little gimmick in place just so it's a little more humble. Instead of having like a young actor, I don't know who you would get to play him, Will Poulter maybe. Instead of that, we just say, what if I was a CGI monkey? And, you know, the team that worked on Planet of the Apes, what if they made Robbie Williams into an ape? And it's the whole story, but he's a little ape guy. What would that look like? I don't know, it'd be kind of silly. And it was, but it's good kind of silly. It's a fun little movie. Better Man is really entertaining, and that's like the best thing I can say about it. It's so entertaining. It's a crowd pleaser. You will walk out with a smile on your face. The music's fine. I don't know, like maybe that's your style, maybe it's not. But it's an entertaining movie. And in a time where it feels like we haven't had like a true crowd pleaser, this could be it. If people were just willing to sit through it and watch it. And I'm amazed they're not. Why isn't this one doing well? I don't understand that. It's got a lot of stuff going for it. Like, there's a monkey in here dancing and snorting cocaine. That's like a really cool thing to see. We're not seeing that anywhere else. Like, just on a premise alone. Why isn't the idea that a monkey is singing and dancing, snorting cocaine, and hooking up with girls interesting to people? That's a fun concept, and it's based on a real guy, and that real guy's not a monkey. Like, there's something here that's interesting. I wonder why it's just not finding the appeal to people. I don't know anything about Robbie Williams. I can name a handful of his songs. I didn't really bother to look up any of it before I went into this movie, or like his history in like Take That, or whatever the band's called. I don't care. Like, I just want to see an entertaining movie with a director who I know can make a crowd-pleasing musical. The Greatest Showman, no, well, it's not my favorite film. Of the past, like, era of musicals we've seen come out, it had color and vibrancy and movement to it. And this one has more than The Greatest Showman, so it's genuinely an interesting movie. It's beautiful. The sets are gorgeous. We're all over the city. We're all over the UK. We're moving all over the place. It's vibrant. It's colorful. The camera is so flashy and energetic. It's moving in some really cool directions. Well, just hitting all the tones of like a 90s and 2000s period piece. And that's an era I think is very interesting. It makes for very filmic moments, and that's what we're getting in something like this. Looks really cool. I like the way we dress up the monkey. We do. For each era of this guy's life, the monkey has a different haircut, and we make it work. When he bleaches his hair blonde, the monkey does that. When he shaves his hair, when he has a mohawk, the monkey has all that going on too. That's kind of cool. Like, that's a fun thing to see. So that's really interesting. Like, we're just setting you up like this monkey's from 2002. He looks like it. Like, that's interesting. That's entertaining. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. Now, the thing about this movie too, and I try to explain this to people all the time. We talk about, oh, it's so easy to predict the plot. This is a trope-heavy movie. You know the beat's coming a mile away. Kid comes from nothing. His parents are in tumultuous relationship. One of them leaves. He finds success very young. Early rise to fame. The disassociated parent comes back into his life as soon as he gets famous. Falls into alcohol and drugs and sex. And I could be describing any one of these movies to you, right? That's these movies. That is the idea of any one of these musical biopics. That's why they're so boring to talk about sometimes. But this one just manages to make it a little bit different, where it's something interesting to perceive. Now, you don't have to break the formula. You don't have to radically alter the formula to tell your story in a compelling manner. That's an important thing to know about these biopics. The formula works because there is something coherent and interesting about that story to tell. Even though it falls into the tropes, like even finding the successful partner in your life too, and you have competing relationships in terms of like the industry and each other, and the sacrifices you make does eventually work out. You hit your rock bottom, you get better, you do the things of sobriety, and that's where you find your rise again. It's the 3-act structure to all of these people's lives, which I'm sure, because it's an industry that breeds you to be a certain thing, there is crossover in a lot of it. I'm sure all these people who get famous young get trapped in like this setting, try to find their 3rd act later in life after they've had all the tension of that. Like, that is common. You're going to see that everywhere. And seeing it here, it's just handled with more nuance, beauty, and interesting choreography. It's a gorgeous looking movie. The songs really work for the tone of the piece. There's some really cool editing moments, some really cool cinematography. We're taking chances here. And I compare this to a movie that came out very recently called Wicked, which is bland and has some really bad editing choices in terms of the music, especially in terms of the music. This one makes it the central focus. The story is secondary to just seeing this guy sing these songs and how it affects him personally. It's the personal relationship between Robbie and his music that we are seeing throughout the piece. And that's really cool. Like, it escalates into fantastical sequences that just go beyond the need to have the song being sung. It's just, here's what this song meant to me when I wrote it, when I sang it, when I performed it at this one location. This is what my battle was. And there's an earnestness to that. Well, a little bit cinematic of earnestness, so there's some falseness to it. It's more aware of itself than other types of movies like this. I'm trying to think of like how you define when these ones are successful or not. I think it's just the subject willing to talk about themselves in a demeaning way where they're kind of snarky and like, I was a troubled person. The ones that work for me of like recent time are this movie, Motley Crue's The Dirt, where the people are like, yeah, we were kind of annoying and bad, and maybe we learned to even ourselves out a little bit. And the ones that don't work, like Bohemian Rhapsody, are where it's like, nah, everyone's cool, look how cool we are, nothing bad ever happens, this is just part of the life, just shying away from this stuff. This is a very personal piece, but very flamboyant and loud, which makes it really cool to see the dichotomy between the two. It's working really well, and the effects look good. And when you have like the musical numbers presenting well with music that is so personal to the actor and the character and the performer, you get something special. So when the tropes come in and you feel all those tropes a mile away, they don't feel annoying. They feel like this is part of the story. This is what this guy is going through. We believe it and we understand it. It's truly amazing that this exists in the format it does. Like, how many other guys who are like, I'm somebody special, let's make a movie about me, let's make me a monkey. How many other guys would do that? I don't think it's a big list. There's something, interesting about that choice. It's both like arrogant in like a fun, cute way, and very humbling, where you're like, yeah, I mean, I don't have to cast like the hottest star as myself. I'm kind of like a devolved creature who's like an animal, and entertainment puts you in like a glass cage where you're being prodded and poked at by the adoring fans and audiences alike, and reporters and everyone just ogling you. So you're kind of like trapped in a zoo. Might as well put myself in as the monkey. I think that's kind of interesting. Beautiful dance numbers, beautiful costuming, incredible hair and makeup for like a weird monkey. This kind of works perfectly, like for what it's trying to do, which is not break the mold, but just have a silly gimmick for it. It works well. It's pretty interesting to see. I'm very, very impressed with this movie. It's a shame it is not doing well, but I'm telling you, it is better looking than Wicked. It's more entertaining than Wicked. And it's about a guy who knows he's silly and is just so self-aware. And that's something I love to see in a musical biopic, is somebody who is aware that they are silly and they are crazy and they've made some weird choices. Kneecap, another big example from 2024 of this. What if the gimmick was, we're all crazy? 2024 has been a good year for these types of biopics. Just people willing to talk about themselves in a very specific way. Pharrell Williams did like the Lego one, and I think that's cool too. But this is just interesting, and it works so well, and the story's great. The script isn't perfect, but you know what we're doing here. And if you like the music, that's just an added bonus, but if you don't, it serves the story. And that's really cool to see. So this Robbie Williams guy, he's pretty good. You know, I don't have to tell you, he's like one of the most famous singers of all time. He's pretty cool. Pretty fun movie. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. So, Better Man. I am going to give an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.